glad that you could take the time to meet with us today. My name is Juliet. I'm a senior. I study math and statistics here at Carnegie Mellon University, and I also work at the Career Center. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to meet you, Juliet. My name is Jessica, and I'm a software engineering recruiter at Facebook. I've been with Facebook for almost 6 years now and have the wonderful opportunity to work with CMU students to help them kickstart their careers at Facebook.
That's really great. How has your experience with Facebook been so far?
It's been great. I actually joined Facebook about a year out of college, so I was still in my early 20s, and Facebook is a place that I've really grown up at, and I've built both my professional and personal network here. A lot of my closest friends work at Facebook. I feel like it's also a place where I've been able to develop my career and learn new skills. Facebook has been supportive in helping me try out different roles, different opportunities, and take on new projects, and even work in a different office. I'm really grateful to Facebook for that.
That's really cool. So I guess we can talk about company culture. How would you describe Facebook's culture?
One of the reasons why I was drawn to working at Facebook is because of its really open culture. It's a culture that really facilitates feedback, and we try to build an environment to make employees feel empowered to speak up if they find things that could be working better, and to also make them feel comfortable asking the questions that matter the most, and also participate in building solutions. I think Facebook is also a place that really encourages its employees to find what they're most excited about to work on, even if it's outside of the scope of your traditional role. If there's something that you have an idea about or something you want to improve, we really encourage them to work on it and take ownership to be able to build that and have that impact.
That's really cool. Have you seen any changes in culture once everything turned virtual due to COVID?
Yeah, it's definitely taken some adjusting to, but at Facebook, it's really made the transition a little bit easier. Even when we were in the office, we had pretty flexible schedules, and a lot of our conference rooms were equipped with video conferencing. So at least, one person in the meeting was already remote. I guess the only difference is transitioning that to our own homes and getting used to not having all the amenities in the office and figuring out how to cook and feed ourselves without our wonderful culinary team taking care of us. It's still taken some adjusting to, but we've been able to still accomplish a lot of our goals in the same way.
That's really great. So I guess apart from COVID, have you noticed any changes that Facebook has made in the past few years to adapt to new environments?
As a company that plays such an important role in people's lives, we understand that it's not only a great responsibility, but it's also something that we have to take seriously. We've definitely shifted in investing more into privacy and security and really thinking seriously about how data is collected and stored and processed, and also rebuilding our infrastructure to make sure that all of that information is stored in the most secure way to make sure that we're able to maintain the trust of our users and the people that we serve. And we're also kind of looking at how we can make remote working better for not only our employees, but also other companies out there as well, whether that's with AR, VR, or using our portal devices to still have that real-time communication with others. And we're also shifting to a remote environment as well. So thinking about how we can still have our teams build relationships and build those connections and maintain our culture remotely is also something that we're thinking about.
That's so cool. So is Facebook going to be remote from now on?
Not permanently, but we recently allowed the option of some of our employees to opt into working remotely permanently. And we're also looking to hire new employees who might be based outside of our traditional office locations to work permanently remotely as well, but not all of our employees.
Okay, cool. And I guess apart from the work from home, do you see any upcoming trends that might have a large impact on Facebook in the future?
We're also investing more into AI and machine learning and making sure that AI isn't encoding human biases, and investing more in AR and VR and sort of reshaping how people experience things with one another. We're also making payments more secure, being able to transfer money securely if they don't have access to like a bank account or something. We're encrypting Messenger.
That's definitely really cool. Definitely looking forward to seeing advancements in that future. I guess jumping back to company culture, I was wondering if you share a little bit about Facebook's commitments to inclusion and diversity.
Yes. Diversity is definitely something that's very important to us. We definitely want our workforce to reflect the diversity of the communities that we serve. And Sheryl Sandberg, our COO, she set a goal that she wants our workforce to be 50% diverse by 2024. And we're definitely taking some measures to be able to reach that goal by then. We understand that it's not only a challenge to find the diverse candidates out there to join Facebook, we also have to make sure that we're also maintaining them and making an environment that's inclusive and a place where they can also develop their careers. We have specific learning and development courses depending on your role, whether it's an interviewer or a people manager or even an individual contributor, to really understand how you can tackle those unconscious biases and to really show up and be an ally to your colleagues.
That's really great to hear. I feel like diversity and inclusion is something that a lot of students are looking for when they're finding like full-time roles in the future. What's one thing that surprised you about Facebook when you first joined?
One thing that surprised me about Facebook was how quickly the environment can adapt to, I guess, the world around us and how quickly our teams and the work that we do can change. Even though we are becoming a larger company, we still function more or less like a startup. Even in my own role, the way that we did things last half a couple months ago could be completely different in the next half moving forward. And that's because we are a culture that really fosters feedback. And if our employees see a different way of doing things that could be better or could be improved, they're encouraged to voice that and to implement those changes. And we build our teams to have the skills and the tools and the awareness to reprioritize and adapt when necessary.
That's really cool to hear. I guess now we're going to jump more into recruitment. So I know you specifically recruit for software engineering roles, but what kind of roles does Facebook offer for CME students?
In addition to technical roles, which is the bulk of our hiring, we do recruit for non-technical positions as well. Here at Facebook, we don't look at particular majors, but more so on the skills and experience that the students have built. So we do have additional roles in project management or working on our infrastructure, on our data centers, whether it's cybersecurity. Some security roles require a technical background and some do not, but there is a wide breadth of areas for university students to have an opportunity to work on at Facebook. And typically in the fall is when we do the bulk of our technical hiring, and usually our non-technical positions will likely open up between January or February.
Okay, cool. Do you guys do technical hiring in the spring as well, or just in the fall?
We do. It depends on the hiring needs of the teams, but typically we do still hire, usually at a smaller volume in the spring, but some teams are still hiring for technical positions.
And then what do you look for in students during recruitment?
What we look for in students is also what would make them successful at Facebook. So people who are innovative and who are genuinely excited about the things that they're working on, but also have a sense of responsibility and understanding the impact and the potential consequences of what their work might entail. I think CMU's curriculum has done a fantastic job at preparing students both technically on those non-technical skills such as communication. How do you communicate your ideas? Or how comfortable are you with sharing feedback, and how do you go about doing that in a way that's constructive? And in addition to sharing feedback, finding solutions for the way things could be improved.
That's great. Yeah, I definitely see a push for soft skills for all industries. I'm specifically like more geared towards the financial services industry, but really
Okay.
glad that all industries are looking for soft skills as well. In terms of technical skills, are there any specific trainings or qualifications that you think are required for software engineers at Facebook?
With university students, we hire our software engineers as generalists. So there isn't a specific language or specific focus area that we expect students to have experience in. We're mostly looking for students that are really excited about computer science and what they're doing and what they're building, and also people who can be successful on a number of different teams. So here at Facebook, we don't hire students to join a specific team once they get their offer. When you join full-time, you'll have the opportunity to participate in boot camp, which is a 6 to 8 week onboarding program where you'll really learn the ins and outs of our code stack and to also have the opportunity to sit with different teams and to really explore and work on real projects with those teams to see what you're excited about. We really do encourage internal mobility as well. Another benefit of hiring students who are generalists is that if the Facebook employee decides that they want to try something else or switch teams, we still believe that they have the background to be successful if they do decide to pursue something else.
That's really cool. So, can you describe a little bit what the internship looks like?
Our internship program for software engineering is 12 weeks long. Students will essentially be a full-time employee or full-time extension of that team. The intern manager will come up with a project that is more so scoped out just to make sure that we have benchmarks to measure the interns for success and to also make sure that it's approved by our programs team to make sure that it is feasible for an intern to complete in that designated amount of time. But once the intern starts, they'll be paired with an intern mentor and then talk through the project with them in the beginning. We do have a designated intern orientation. So the first week might consist of onboarding and they'll start tackling the technical aspect of the project. But we have seen interns who excelled or completed the project before the scoped amount of time, and they've been able to then take it to a different direction. Or as they're working on their project, they might come up with their own ideas for how they think it could be implemented, or they might have suggestions for how to tweak the project. So their feedback is also taken into consideration throughout the internship to see how they can make the most impact and be the most successful there.
That sounds like a really rewarding experience. So, how would you suggest students make themselves stand out if they're interested in a role at Facebook?
Some ways that students can stand out is to really focus on what excites you and what you're interested in working on, and have your resume reflect where you're spending your time, and to also demonstrate that you're taking initiative to pursue those opportunities outside of your regular coursework to work on things. So whether that's being a TA for a specific class or being involved or being a leader in a student organization or participating in hackathons or even mentoring other students in that field that you're interested in. We think that people are most successful when they're passionate about what they're doing. So I'd say just focus on showcasing yourself and what your strengths are versus trying to tailor that to the specific role or the specific employer. I think you can really shine just by investing in what you do the best.
That's really great. Hopefully other CMU students can take that advice to heart when they're applying for roles in the future. So now I'd like to jump into more individual questions. My first question is, how do you separate work-life balance, especially now that everything's virtual?
So what I've learned throughout my career is that work-life balance is, a lot of it has to do with the boundaries that you set for yourself. I don't think there are pressures coming from the job, but maybe you might have high standards for yourself or feel like you always need to be available, but to really reflect on what that means for yourself. If you know you're not as productive in the mornings, being able to communicate that with your manager. Fortunately, Facebook does have flexible hours and also tools in place to help enforce work-life balance for those that might have a hard time setting those boundaries for themselves. For example, we have a tool called Balance Spot where you can set your work hours and set the times where you will get push notifications on your phone through our messenger tool. And then outside of those hours, those notifications will be turned off. And the person pinging you will also be aware that you're not getting those notifications, and also a contingency plan to notify you if it is actually an emergency. But I think it's just having understanding with your colleagues and the people that you're working with when you're expected to be available. At Facebook, we really prioritize the work that you get done and not so much how you get it done or when you get it done. I've also learned to turn off notifications when I take vacation. I know some people are still tempted to read things, to follow up, and to try to get some work done, even though they're technically taking time off, but really just prioritize taking care of yourself because you'll be more productive that way if you feel like you're fully recharged and able to have that boundary.
Yeah, I think work-life balance is definitely something that's really important, especially for students who are like trying not to burn out.
Exactly, yeah.
What career advice would you give to your younger self?
I would say to not get too discouraged by where you think you should be, and especially in comparing yourself to your peers. I remember when I was in college, it felt like everyone around me had job offers months before they graduated, and I didn't get my first job offer until months after graduation. I remember being hung up on those opportunities or interviews that didn't work out and thinking like, oh, maybe if I just said this or did this, then maybe I would have gotten it. But recruiting and finding a job has a lot of it has to do with timing. And there are so many other factors that go into it that the candidate isn't aware of. So try not to be too hard on yourself. And I'm grateful for the way that things worked out. I'm glad I didn't just hop on the first offer that I got and I waited for the right opportunity because timing has a lot to do with that. And fortunately, all of it has led to me getting to where I am today. And I'm happy with that right now. So I think just taking a step back and taking some time to really take care of yourself and enjoy not having too much responsibility, hopefully, for a little bit before you enter that next step in your life because everything will work out in the end.
Okay, cool. So I guess that's all the questions I had. Do you have anything else that you would want to share to CMU students?
Something else that I wanted to mention about our company is that it's really a place where you can drive your own career path. For example, if you want to be a people manager, that's a choice and not something that's required to advance or grow in your career. And that also ensures that our people managers are people who are genuinely excited about helping people develop and grow. But as an individual contributor, you can still succeed and excel and develop your career just as much as a people manager. And you can even be at a higher level than your manager on some teams. So it's really based on what is most important to you and how you want to develop your career.
Cool.